Welcome to another episode of State of the Bulldogs. Sam, Mike, Jeb, and Grant. Jeb, welcome back, baby. Good to have you. It's been a minute, but your second degree is officially wrapped up, so you're a free man.
Yeah, thanks, Sam. Yeah, I'm glad to be back, and kind of feel like we can get back into a rhythm where I'll actually be on the podcast on a weekly basis now. So,
We love to hear that.
yeah,
It's a bummer we couldn't get Mike on here for the quad box, but next week, next week.
Unbelievable, Michael. Shame.
Lots of stuff happening. We'll get to it. Baseball coming out of the wire in the SoCon. Softball started the SoCon tournament this weekend. We have a golfer in the NCAA regionals on the women's side, of course, certainly not on the men's. And then, unfortunately, an update for men's tennis that we didn't love. But we're going to start with everyone's favorite topic, the portal, men's basketball, despite the fact that it is May 4th. May the 4th be with you. We're still talking about basketball. Grant, before you take it away, we do have the sad but cool update. Claire Johnson is in fact leaving Samford after we could not confirm it last week. She committed to Nebraska, which is cool.
Oscar.
Good
Yeah.
for her. We love to see a little Big Ten transfer there. So, but good luck, Claire. It was fun while we had you. It was hype when we had you. But maybe she can become the next Caitlin Clark, following in the Big Ten footsteps. We'll see. Grant, men's basketball. A lot of stuff happening.
It's a lot of stuff. Again, as you mentioned, we're still talking about basketball. Still two open spots as we go through here. But since we last recorded, Samford added three players over the weekend. Two with the same last name, one from Bowling Green. We'll run through it real quick, and then we'll go through our thoughts on it. Wright State point guard Keaton Norris committed to Samford last week along with his brother Cade. Cade is coming from Illinois State. Keaton is coming from Wright State. Keaton is the older brother, 6 feet, 175. He was initially committed to Lipscomb out of the portal, so again, that's where that connection comes from. Started 29 games last year. He comes to Samford with 1 year left to play. In 29 games, he averaged 7.5 points per game, 4.3 assists, and 2.9 rebounds per game, so pretty balanced. He did that in 30.4 minutes per game. He had 10 games in double figures and also shot 45% from three, was 43 and 96 from three. So that was Keaton Norris as the first ad. Second ad, Illinois State guard Cade Norris, his younger brother, but taller, a little bit bigger, 6'4", 200. He just appeared in 17 games last year of his freshman season, so he's a sophomore. So he'll have 3 years to play other than his brother Keaton, who has 1 year to play. It's more of just a kind of a depth piece. We'll see who he turns into. Again, still a young player with a room to grow. And there's a good size, which what Samford is going to have to get used to when it comes to building out their backcourt. Sticking with that same kind of size, Bowling Green guard Dejan Humphrey, also 6'4", listed at 185. He's got 1 year left to play. He missed 12 games last year due to an injury. He averaged in 20 games, 5.7 points per game, 2.2 boards, and also shot 39% from three. So again, some kind of trend there when it comes to kind of adding these portal pieces. Bigger guards who have a chance to kind of shoot, and we'll see where it comes with potentially playing more minutes than he did at Bowling Green. He started his career at Holy Cross and then went to Garden City Community College and then Bowling Green. So Samford is his fourth school using his JUCO season, so he's got 1 year left to play. So 3 ads, 2 with 1 year left to play, and then Cade is the younger one who will be a sophomore with 3 years left to play.
Do we know what kind of injury Humphrey had?
I was trying to find that earlier. I just found articles that said he missed with an injury, so I could dig deeper to see what it was exactly. But he played the first like 5 or 6 games, then had the injury, and then finished the season.
Interesting that we have brothers on the team. I like the upside, like the unknown upside, right, of Cade. But Jet, thoughts on the transfers. Let's start with the brothers first, and then we'll get to Dijon.
yeah, sure. I think there's not really like a whole lot of, well, you could say there's not a whole lot of data out there for these guys. Like they didn't play a whole lot in their previous schools. Cade is younger, right? So he's also like more unproven. So there's
Right.
just like we don't really have any like proven like stalwart guys in this portal like year, right? It's just that's kind of concerning to me. Like I don't know what coach is doing. Is he building? Is he trying to grab trusted guys, or are we just kind of like grabbing what we can? from the portal.
I mean, some of
feels
it
like-
is can because of the timing of the hiring.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think you're right. We talked about it before, but Booth, he's kind of the prize of the portal class. But even still, he's a guy coming from D2. That's the risk we're always going to run, right? As a mid-major program, all these guys are going to have question marks. There's not going to be some 5-star transfer that's a lock for 20 points a game. Because even when we got Holloway from Tulane last year, he's a guy that you would have thought was a lock, and then obviously he wasn't. So
yeah, no, it's totally possible to like. I mean, shoot, Keaton Norris and Cade Norris could just blow up and be like really good 2 guards, and we have 2 brothers who just lighten it up, and that'd be fantastic, right?
they probably won't, but they could. They could.
It could happen.
Humphrey can shoot, right? He shot 52 threes last year, made 39% of them.
It's not bad.
So he's a good shooter.
How tall was he, Grant?
6'4", 185.
Okay,
Yeah.
not small.
But that's another thing. Like we talked about this last year, even with Bucky's team before the mass exodus that happened in the portal. But we talked about this. Like I think we just need big guys. The way we played in the SoCon last year, like Chattanooga just ate us up. A lot of these teams, like they have big guys, they have dynamic players at like the forward positions, and it feels like Samford's fielding a smaller team every year. The one year that we kind of didn't really have that was a chore, and that team was actually physical, right? So I don't know, we need to get bigger. Like we need another Jermaine Marshall, right? Like that's kind of what I'm saying. It's like
an enforcer.
We need a chore who can just like cause chaos. It's in the paint. So
well, you're definitely not getting that from either of these 3 signings.
No, we're not. We're not. But that's why I'm curious, Sam, though, to hear. We're going to talk about the depth chart, right, Grant?
Yeah.
So I don't want to get too ahead, but
well, no, we can get to it. Grant put together a little depth chart.
I think that the depth chart will add a lot of context here around like where things will sit. Obviously, this is a projection. Right. This is nothing like set in stone. This is very
I just made this up basically.
Preliminary. Grant in all his glory and creativity came up with this.
Are your heights accurate? I thought we had 2 6'11" guys.
No, how dare you question my information? No, that's fine. Faulkner 6'9", 6'7". Nobody over 6'10". Now that you mentioned, dare you question my? No, I'm just kidding. Smaller when it comes to size. Again, they still need a kind of a big kind of quote bruiser, I guess, and then maybe another wing who can kind of play the point. A little bit of that going on, but there is when it comes to weight, you do need some more size. Again, Faulkner 215. He played a lot of the 5 at Lipscomb, but I'm worried about his size. Like if Cooper Browser out there, he's not stopping Cooper Browser next year. I mean, we couldn't stop him last year, right? So when it comes to needing a big guard in it, the team is bigger lengthwise, but I think it's again, like Jeb said, where's the strength going to come from? Where's that guy that's going to be okay? This is mine. Which we thought Holloway was going to be last year, like you said, Sam, but it didn't turn out to actually fulfill the potential of that. Same with Isaiah West. They thought he'd be an all-conference player, and then Drew had none of that there. So there is more length and versatility. It's just a matter of the size and kind of the bruise you need to kind of compete with the bigger teams like ETSU and Furman.
Yeah, for our podcast listeners, I'll just run through it real fast. Point guard, he has Keaton Norris, Isaiah Campbell-Finch, and Cooper Davenport. 6 foot, 5'11", 175, 170, 160, is all about the same size. Shooting guard, Jaden Booth, Dejon Humphrey, Zach Laney, 6'2", 6'4", 6'3", 185, 185, 175. So ranging in size, but all about the same weight. At the 3 spot, Zon Wilburn, Cade Norris, JD Gossett, 6'5", 6'4", 6'5", all 180. 6'5" is going to be small. The 4 spot, Jackson Pollard, Judson.
We can roll with Gorenstead. Judson will figure that out when the season starts.
G and a J, right next to each other. Always throws a little curveball. 6'7", 6'8", 225, 200. And then at the 5, Dylan Faulkner, Caleb Harrison, both 6'9". Dylan's 215, Caleb's 205. Certainly light as a feather. This team Just looking at heights and weights, fourth in the conference projected. Just heights and weights.
I'm excited about Zion and his development.
Yeah, like it would be awesome if Zion just turns into an absolute monster
Yeah, it
and
could. And I like
dominates.
Jackson Pollard. I do. I like Jackson Pollard.
Yeah,
Those are
Sam.
kind of the two guys I'm looking at.
Yeah, to your point, the starting five last year: 6 feet 175, Rylan. Trey 6'4", 200. Josh Holloway 6'2", 160. Collins 6'6", 220, and then Brown L was 6'9", 230. So that's kind of where it.
So roughly this sounds about the same.
Yeah, more
But we
length.
don't have
Yeah,
Riley.
exactly, more length. Yeah, Riley's off to George Mason, but yeah.
You know, Yao Ming is 44 years old, and he never went to college. So he could technically enroll at Samford and just fix the problem for us. At least, like a 44-year-old Yao Ming, cannot be that bad in the SoCon, right?
Yeah, when it comes to like the front court, like the way I have it set now, 6'7", 6'9", 6'8", 6'9". And then last year, Riley 6'11", obviously. Jaden 6'9", Colin 6'6", and then Trey 6'4", Larry 6'9", but he was super thin, 215, same size as Faulkner. So yeah,
Has
everything
Larry
we've said,
signed anywhere?
he hasn't yet, no.
Could return. That would be a nice addition.
And he is friends with Humphrey. I did see that on social, so
That's nice.
who knows?
Who knows?
But yeah, 2 open spots. I need a pure 5, and then you can kind of play around with whoever you want your last spot to be.
Yeah. Yeah, this will be a very interesting team. I mean, because it could cut obviously several ways. You're looking at this hoping that this team makes a lot of threes, shoots a lot of threes, plays very fast on defense. But whoever talked about Bowser, the guys like that are going to get theirs against a team like this. ETSU is going to bully us with a team like this.
And they kind of got theirs last year too. So
how much?
This reminds me of a rich man's Citadel or a rich man's VMI
or a poor man's Davidson.
I don't know, dude. Davidson's not that good anymore.
No, but back in the day, Davidson.
15 years ago.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, the TLDR is we don't know. We don't know. That's basically what the whole thing is.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of like filling out the roster, and obviously not gonna play as fast as we did last year. Like no one's gonna play that fast. The way it's gonna be more slowed down, a better offense, Princeton offense, where it's the key to making the right pass, finding the right shot. So again, Lipscomb did score last year. We have to find out different ways to score, and as Aiko said in his presser, we're obviously not going to press all 40 minutes. Only Bucky does that right now. So yeah, it was just a big what if. We'll find out in November, but yeah.
We will. All right, boys. Any other thoughts on the roster as it shapes up so far?
A portal tracker on the website. You can go check that out for those who haven't yet. It's getting a lot of views over the last few weeks. So
I was going to say, I don't know who hasn't, but if you haven't, go check it out. Let's get to Bucky's buyout. So, Grant, you had requested several documents from A&M, got the contract, and was the buyout information part of that contract?
It was.
Okay. So A&M is paying Samford $850,000 cold hard cash. What do we think? We were talking about this before. I think that's pretty good. I was surprised it was even that high, considering when you really think about what kind of leverage Samford had when they were renegotiating the contract following the tournament appearance.
Yeah, Henry Ward McMillan III signed on April 4th. That night, if you want,
a month to the day.
Exactly. There you go for your video audience. The signature page of the contract that we obtained. Yeah, that's pretty much Bucky not leaving Samford high and dry when he knew this day would come eventually when he would get offered. We didn't know obviously it'd be this soon. We've talked about that ad nauseum already. But yeah, it's basically him not leaving Samford and making sure, okay, this is a good thing for me. And I guess in that contract that extended him to 2032 was before Sexton took over as his agent. So I guess that could have helped too. So, but yeah.
But didn't we sign an extension?
Yeah, that was before.
That was before Sexton came on board?
I believe he got Sexton. Again, we could be right at, but I think after the first extension, and then he got another extension for making the tournament an extra year.
Yeah.
And then I think that's when a Sexton signed on. But anyway, so.
Got you.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know why I thought Sexton was on before that, but that makes sense because I don't think he was mentioned as like being part of the crowd except for
No,
last year.
the timing just so happened to work out that Sexton became Buggy's agent right before this past season started, and he leaves for A&M. So it's kind of funny how that kind of ended up working out.
Timing is not coincidental.
No, it's not. No.
I wonder if Sexton represents anyone else in the SoCon. Do you know?
I don't. Probably. Maybe Bob Rishi. I don't know. Maybe.
Bob probably represents himself because he thinks that's the right way to do it.
And that's why he's still at Furman and not at Virginia or NC State. Yeah.
That's why his burner account cap and Prince.
Yeah. Yeah. So for football we're getting $550K from A&M, and then Bucky Lever we're getting $850K. So that's $1.4 million that Samford's going to get from A&M for this past year.
I guess for that we got to say gig 'em. We will take all the money we can get.
You can start selling Aggie like merchandise in the Samford bookstore.
It's like they acquired like a treaty port. They
Yeah,
bought
and
$1 million.
knowing Texas A&M and the culture there, that's probably like a part of it.
It's very interesting. I mean,
The feeder.
let's just be happy because that 850 went straight towards finding the new coach, paying the Lipscomb buyout, whatever that may be. So definitely money that we needed, and it just would have been nice if it was a whole lot more. But hey, we'll take it.
Yeah, and Bucky is making $3 million at A&M. So if you want to know how much he's actually making,
we were talking about that. We what the bottom of the SEC is a little over 2.
Yeah, I think Rodney Terry, Texas old coach, was like right at 3 or close to 3.
The most overpaid coach in America.
Exactly.
So terrible.
3 is kind of basically the floor for a SEC coach. There's someone like 2.7, 2.8. Like Porter Moser at OU is making 3.4 next year, so Bucky's just making $400K less. But yeah, $3 million is kind of the baseline for that kind of job, and he gets $100K bumps every year.
It's a steal for A&M. Low cost for the amount of upside that there is. Obviously, everything can blow up and whatever, and they walk away, but paying them $3 million a year, shoot, that's what they make every day in that athletic department.
Yeah, they were going to pay Chris Beard 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever, right? So.
Right. All right. Anything else on the bio? All right, we'll roll through these next 2 points before we get to baseball, softball, but women's golf. So everybody, we talked about Gabby Nicastro because she won Golfer of the Year, Player of the Year in the SoCon. So we talked about her a couple weeks ago, but she's competing in the NCAA regionals this week. And men's tennis update there. We did lose Florida State. Shocker. Lost 4-0. And interestingly, South Carolina ended up winning the regional. Florida State put up a 5, but South Carolina won 4-3. So they're heading on, but great run for tennis. And who knows? Maybe it'd be nice to get a guy or two for the summer review series on the tennis team. I think we'll actually try. So good to hear from those guys. Baseball. All right. This is where it's getting interesting, boys. We have 2 weeks left of the season. And I'm not going to say we're limping in, but we definitely know who we are. And our floor is a little bit lower than we would be comfortable with. Our ceiling is probably a little bit lower than we thought coming into the season, but certainly high enough to win the SoCon. But with that said, we're tied. We're essentially tied with Citadel and Mercer. Everybody's within 1.5, 2 games of each other for the 2 seed. Citadel still has a theoretical chance of winning the 1 seed because they finished the season at against ETSU. So it's coming down to the wire, and as everyone knows, the 1-2 in the SoCon tournament get a double bye. They don't have to play till Friday, which is huge. You definitely don't want to beat the 3.
No.
So with that said, we lost Auburn in the midweek 3-0, which is not terrible. I thought you could be somewhat proud of that considering Auburn's a top 10 team.
Yeah, the Auburn starter was legit. He was mowing guys down. He had like 6 Ks the first 9 guys he faced, and yeah, he was just dominant.
Grant, unfortunately, there's a lot of guys that kind of mow our lineup down, including one of the Miami of Ohio pitchers. That's who we played this week, and we split the series. I think one of them got rained out, right, Grant?
Yeah, just played 2.
Just played 2, Saturday, Sunday. We lost 1-7 in the first game, but won 8-1 in the second. I wrote this down. These are not good stats. 4 guys in the first game had at least 3 plate appearances, and they did not register a hit. Only one of them got a walk. So basically half your lineup is literally zero production. That's not good. So shocker that we only scored 1. Unfortunately, K-Shot got hit around a little bit. He gave up in game 1. He gave up 3 walks, which was not awesome. But Riggins pitched fine. Gave up 2 hits in 4 innings. So the top end lived up. Some of them lived up to the performance or the expectation. Game 2, I always mess up his name, Grant, but Mason Blanche.
Blashy. Yeah,
Blashy. Mason Blashy, still a stud. It's funny with these freshman pitchers, you never know if it's kind of a blip on the radar or not.
Mm-hmm.
And he's had some downs, but this was certainly one of his better showings. 5 innings, 5 hits, no runs, 3 Ks. True freshman stud. And then in that game, which was the last home game for the seniors, and we'll talk about the seniors when the season wraps up, because there are quite a few of them who spent their entire career at Samford. Not all, most of them were transfers, but there's a few that spent the entire time there. Gupton homered, 3 hits, 4 RBIs, incredible game. So 8-1 victory, last one at home for the seniors. Feels good. And we take on Troy this week in the midweek before hosting UNCG in a must-win series. So kind of how I gamed it out. If we win the next 2 series, we'll be the 2 seed. Presumably ETSU beats Citadel in their series, at least 2-1, if not a sweep. If they sweep and we win both series, we comfortably are the 2 seed. If we win both series and Citadel just loses the series to ETSU, I think we're the 2 seed. It gets interesting if Citadel beats ETSU, because then I think there's a couple of ties, and I'm not sure what the tiebreakers are. We'll find out if that comes up. But with that said, boys, baseball, how are we feeling? We feeling okay?
It's a young team who, like you said, kind of we know what their ceiling and floor is. It's a little tough when Riggins has been kind of roughed up his last few outings. He did pitch really well last year in the SoCon tournament, but yeah, it's just a matter of you have to get that 2 seed because Samford's pitching every year. They literally cannot hold up whether you have to start Thursday and win 4 games, especially if you lose the championship series, then you have to play like we did last year, play an extra game. So yeah, Samford's pitching the way it sets up. They have to be able to go 1, 2, 3. It helps having Mason pitch some big innings. He's kind of been that guy. Learson's got some experience pitching the D3 World Series last year at BSC. So yeah, you got to get that 2 seed and set up your pitching that way, and we'll see if Samford's bats kind of come to play with Higgins has been out of the last couple of weeks, and you kind of wash Auburn out. That's like you said, top 10 team. You worry about that. You're playing at a big park. Yeah, you kind of get your feelings back in, and yeah, we'll see if they can kind of get the bats kind of rolling before they get to Greenville.
The ceiling is there to win the SoCon. Unfortunately, there's this little team called ETSU whose ceiling is much higher, but has shown they've shown some vulnerabilities. Let's say coming into the SoCon season, we thought they were an unstoppable machine. That has turned out to not be the case, fortunately. It did not help that we played them in our first series in conference and got annihilated.
Yeah, stuff.
Which further cemented that idea. But I'm feeling a lot better now. But we are a little banged up, and our pitching's inconsistent. What were you going to say, Joe?
Yeah, I'd say it's an inconsistent team. Young. Just the way that they've traded a lot of matchups and not really swept anybody,
sure,
isn't really convincing. I think all season, I don't know. I think Mercer and who we play? Mercer and
UNCG,
middle of the pack teams. You could just not finish strong. And I know, I don't want to be what is it, sunshine and rainbows or whatever it is. I don't know, but that's why I'm saying this. But it's just maybe next year, right? If you can keep all the guys.
Yeah, that is kind of
it just doesn't feel like that. It just doesn't feel like that.
It doesn't feel like that because Miller Riggins isn't an MLB prospect. We're used to having our ace be an MLB prospect.
At least one, yeah.
And having we know we're gonna win Friday night. and then the rest of it kind of let it shake out. He has played or pitched extremely well in moments this season. As you mentioned, Grant, he was lights out last year in the SoCon tournament. I hear you, Jeb, and both y'all said this team's young. The problem with that statement is while it is kind of true, it's also Samford. Like, we probably won't hold on to Blashy. Like, he's
Yeah, that
probably
was going to bring
transferring.
that up. Yeah.
No, he might be on the Hoover to Samford to Auburn pipeline we've seen over the last few years. He and Kate Grimes actually. I was at the game on Tuesday with one of my Auburn friends. He was texting me leading up to the game. He's like, "Oh, so who's gonna be on the Hoover to Samford Auburn train?" I said, "Well, you got Cade Carr, you got Mason Blashy." He's like, "Well, here's your two key guys that could be on that Lucas."
Go back to the
train.
baseball preseason episode. I think we talked about him being the best pitcher on the team. Wait,
You did, Jed. You called it.
I said we, but hey, yeah. No,
you were like, watch out for this Mason. I keep wanting to say Blashy kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blanche is the name.
But yeah, baseball is interesting because these guys like usually just kind of go through to somewhere else and don't really stick around. I guess we can say that about every sport now, but
I also think it's weird. Like, we haven't really mentioned Prieto at all. Like, some of the guys, like, this team is just it might be the bad mix of transfers in the sense of maybe it doesn't have an identity yet. Maybe it doesn't have as many leaders as we're used to. Sure. I think it's telling that we don't have anyone in the running for the Stephen Klein Award. Like, this team is not as disciplined at the plate as some of the past Samford squads have been. But I think this team has all the talent in the world. I still hate the ETSU series because that is just sticking as an anchor in my mind of like, we can't get past them. But we obviously can. They were playing so well, we were playing okay, and they ran through us. That's not the case now. So I feel good. I mean, it's if Miller. Let's say we are playing with fire in the sense that our margin of error is very thin as we roll into the last 2 weeks of the season. But like, let's be optimistic. Let's say we get the 2 seed. Miller pitches great Friday. Well, all of a sudden, now it's like, all right, coach, you gonna stick Mason in there on Saturday, hold him out for Sunday? Like, that's a luxury.
Yeah.
And then we're feeling really good. But we'll get to that point in a couple weeks. We're not there yet.
Yeah, I do think you would roll Mason out there. Keshock's been kind of roughed up last few outings. Again, still a couple outings, 2 weeks to go, but I think you would go Miller, Mason. Do you have another M starting pitcher? No, I'm just kidding. Miller, Mason, and then you see what Sunday looks like. Yeah.
I did see that Brooks Rice got an inning or one out in the last game, and he didn't blow it, but you never know.
He faced one batter and got the final out in the inning. So Tony was like, "Okay, we're gonna get this guy, and we're gonna feel good about getting this guy. Then we're gonna be like, cool. This is our confidence building outing, basically, kind of just get some work in." And
some guys are just a mystery, man. Some guys are just a mystery.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments before Grant? You hit us with softball.
It was kind of funny on Tuesday watching the Colin Horowitz experience as a pitcher, because the first pitch he threw went off the forearm of the Auburn batter. That he hit the first two guys, and first two guys, then K'd up like the next guy, like it was like super high, super low.
It's kind of what we expected, though.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a trip. Like my brother and I were explaining to my dad, okay, he throws hard, but you don't know where it's going. He started as a first baseman, but he struck out so many times. He was like, we're just going to make you a straight pitcher. And then he had that wild inning where he hit a couple guys and then K'd up a couple guys and got out of a big inning and should have gotten out with 0 runs, barring one error, brought 1 run in that inning.
I'm a believer in the experiment. I think you give that kid 2 more years of dedicated pitching training, he could be a stud.
Yeah.
Because he does the one thing you can't coach. Throws really hard.
Throws fire, yeah.
I love it. I love that they did that. I love that he is willing to, like, stay at Samford, be like, all right, I'm going to do this. Who knows if he's going to stay next year. I'm just saying. It was cool that he was willing to put up with the experiment for a season. Because it's got to be terrible. Like, a terrible transition.
Yeah, and basically be told you're not going to hit anymore. So, well, I've hit my whole life. Why am I not going to do this now? And like
Exactly.
that, like the mind trick kind of plays. Oh, we're just going to make you a pitcher because you K'd up so many times. Basically, I saw Joey Gallo trying to be a pitcher. He was a major league baseball player for one
No
time. He
way.
went 180. Yeah, I saw a clip of him throwing a bullpen. I was like, he's trying to be a pitcher. I thought that was sick. Speaking of guys that either hit bombs or struck out.
That guy was the worst hitter ever. But then when he would connect, it was freaking home run.
Yeah, exactly. Hit bombs. But
Poor man's Aaron Judge before Aaron Judge found like his MVP gene apparently.
Yeah, exactly. He loved that Little League right field that the Yankees have at their stadium. Moving on to softball, weather again wreaked havoc this weekend. Softball is only able to get one game in on Saturday, and we won and clinched a 3 seed. And then we just told the rain, "Hey, keep coming. We got our one game. We're gonna be a 3 seed no matter what."
That's right. We got it. Sealed it.
And they're supposed to play Friday, got rained out. So we're going to play 2 Saturdays. Like, okay. Then you check the weather Friday night. There's like a 99% chance of rain on Saturday. So, okay, you're probably not going to get 2 in. Then you get the 1 in. And it's like, oh, yeah, I think Samford's like, I think we're good. I think we'll be the 3 seed. So Samford will be the 3 seed in the SoCon tourney. Our first game will be Wednesday as this drops against the winner of Western and ETSU. We ended up sweeping both in the regular season. So, again, as important as it was for baseball to end up being a 3 seed, it was super important for softball. Baseball will be the 2 seed. Super important for softball to get to the 3 seed. And just the way the standings finished out, Chattanooga 1, UNCG 2, Samford 3, Wofford 4, Mercer, Western, ETSU, and FU Furman brought up the rear on that one. So yeah, SoCon tourney starts on Wednesday as we drop in that game against Wofford. Samford out-hit Wofford 10-6. Cale Cawthorn had a big RBI double in the bottom of the 6th for Samford to win the 7th. So yeah, they got that one game in SoCon tourney coming up. So we'll see how it goes.
Feeling good. Obviously, it's going to be a challenge. UTC's amazing. UNCG's amazing. But I don't know. The girls, they proved us so wrong this year. Defied all of our expectations because we didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, exactly. And new coach. That first game, those are the last game of the day on Wednesday, so it's tentatively scheduled for 6 Central Time. So we'll see when that is. So just keep watch on ESPN Plus until the final game of the day on Wednesday.
Also, why is Wofford hosting? Why don't they just have it every year in Chattanooga? Because Chattanooga has that great softball complex.
Yeah, do they move it around to every year? I think
they have to because we played in Chattanooga last year or 2 years ago. It's not always in Spartanburg.
Yeah, last year I think because SEC does the same thing where they just bounce to every different SEC stadiums throughout the course of the year for the tournament championship. So
I'm not. I like one location. I don't care that it even favors UTC. It's a great city, great facility. Just I don't know. Spartanburg, no.
And stuff.
Good Krispy Kreme though over by the campus. Good Krispy Kreme.
A lot of those around here. So.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, State of the Bulldogs is out. We have baseball with a big series against UNCG, and then softball in the SoCon tournament. Look, Gabby out there golfing. Maybe she pulls off a couple upsets. Who knows? A lot going on this week. State of the Bulldogs is out. I hope everyone has a fantastic week.